Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of Wellness Wednesday with Dr. Latoya Wells. I am Dr. Latoya Wells, family nurse practitioner and owner of Wells Legacy Health and Wellness. I'm so excited to be here with you for tonight's Wellness Wednesday. Tonight, we're going to be closing out the month of August as we kind of recap some things that we've talked about and drop a little hints on what's to come. Thank you all so much again for joining me each and every Wednesday. Make sure you like and share the page. Make sure you go over to our YouTube and like and subscribe because we have some amazing things that are coming and it will involve YouTube more so than anything. But if you have someone or you know someone who is looking for a primary care provider, we are accepting new patients. Again, we are accepting some insurances. So reach out if you are looking for a new primary care provider. If you don't have one and you need to get in for your physical exam, reach out to us, see how we can partner with you on your healthcare journey. Tonight, we have a topic that we're going to continue on as we've been discussing throughout this month, and it has to deal with back to school and our kids, our teenagers, our young adults. And so tonight we're just going to recap some things, but from a different standpoint when it comes to all things back to school. And it's important that we understand the impact of the change that kids have to go through when it comes to going back to school and maybe going to a new school or moving to a different grade and friends moving away and things of that nature. And so we're just going to recap a few things. And so there's some essentials for back to school kids. And it's important that we take note of our kids, that we know what they're dealing with, that we know, some of the challenges that they face and be able to help them, right? It's important that we know that information. And as we talk about back to school, today I was in my neighborhood doing my walk as I'm purposing to do every day, which I can say it has not been happening because life has just been life and lately. But as I was walking through my neighborhood today, I observed something that kind of struck me as maybe this is how things are now. But I can remember when I would catch the bus to school, we would all congregate around and talk. And there was very few people that kind of stood off to the side, but somebody had someone to talk to, even if there were different groups of us. There was not really anybody by themselves. And today I kind of witnessed something that struck me as odd, but maybe that's the culture. Maybe that's the standard. That's the way these kids are. And I've noticed this when I'm driving out of the neighborhood, when the kids are sitting at the bus stop for school. Many of them are sitting at the bus stop or sitting in cars with their parents or whomever is dropping them off. And for those who are outside, they're off by themselves. Many of them have on headphones or AirPods or what have you, and they're on their phones. And there's not much conversation that's going on between them. And I was like, wow, this is where we are in the world. And when I think about it, whenever I go to a restaurant, my husband and I try my best to not have my phone out unless I'm, on call or expecting a call or something of that nature. But I really want to have that one-on-one time with him and not be distracted by my device. And so when we think about the kids that are back in school and their devices and how the high schoolers now have gone away from having physical textbooks to now everything is on their computers, it's kind of setting them up in a way that it's not providing those opportunities to have those organic conversations. I'm guessing. I don't know. I could just be reaching here, but it was just an observation that I had. But I want to just say thank you all so much for joining each and every Wednesday and for sharing the information and for your feedback. I get a lot of good feedback, so keep the feedback coming. And if you are a patient of Wells Legacy Health and Wellness and you have not done a review yet, go to Google and look for our page and look for our website and leave a review of your experience with us as your healthcare provider. So tonight we're going to be covering 3 areas, right? As I mentioned, this month of August, we've been touching on some different topics as it relates to back to school. We're going to talk about school age kids' health, college students in their transition, and minority youth mental health. The goal is to give you some practical tips to start the school year healthy, confident, and supported. And I think what we've done throughout the last 3 to 4 weeks is provided you with a lot of great tips. And so what I want you to do is, if you are watching and you have kids that are in school, I want you to drop their grade levels. Or if they're in college, say so. Or if you are in college, let us know. Because I want to see how many people who are watching us have school age kids and who are in college that may be watching us. Or if you have a child that's in college, a young adult that's in college, they're always going to be our babies. So I tend to preface them as children, but they're adults. And then I want you to make sure that you're sharing and that you're tagging your friends and that you're letting them know, hey, get ready for Wellness Wednesday, or Wellness Wednesday with Dr. Wells is on. Let's let's watch it. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the school age kids and back to school health essentials. We kind of touched on this a little bit, but I want to dive a little deeper. We know that they should be getting their physical exams, right? Typically schools require a physical, and it's usually every so many years, especially if they're transitioning from a new school, or they're coming in from a different state, or they haven't had a physical in a while, or if they're playing sports, they definitely will need a sports physical. They need to have their vision and their hearing checked, especially if they wear glasses already. We want to make sure that they have the correct prescription, and that when they get back to school, that they're not having issues. And one thing I want to point out about glasses is a lot of our kids are technology facing, meaning they're looking at computer screens a lot throughout the day. So even if they don't wear glasses, I would recommend those glasses without prescription that have the blue light filters that will definitely protect their eyes throughout the day and cause less eye strain. We see an uptick in children complaining of headaches and things of that nature when school starts. And the most likely cause of that is their prescription is not correct or not strong enough, or it needs to be changed, or they're experiencing eye strain, among some other things that will need more, evaluation to kind of determine what's going on there. But definitely get their eyes checked and their hearing. And then immunizations, making sure they are up to date on their immunizations. If your family is a family that is for immunizations, we do have some families who don't prefer to get their children immunized, and that's okay. Just making sure that you are doing all the things that you need to do to make sure your kids are healthy, they're eating well, they're drinking plenty of fluids, and just maintaining, their optimal health, and just watching their symptoms and things of that nature. Again, for kids who are transitioning back into school, making sure that they're getting at least 9 to 11 hours of sleep at night for kids, younger kids, 8 to 10 for teenagers, and a healthy breakfast, and make sure that they have, nutritious lunch. And one thing I've seen, and I just kind of in social media land, I watch a lot of videos of, different parents as they are preparing meals for their kids. And a lot of these kids are now have the electric lunch boxes. So making sure that the temperature is, okay for those who do carry the electric lunch boxes. I wish we had electric lunch boxes when I was younger. I would have definitely preferred home cooked food over cafeteria food. But anyhow, making sure that their food is at a safe temperature and that it's not too hot, that they, could burn themselves or things of that nature. And then just their safety and their wellness. We talked about the backpack. So less than 10 to 15% of their body weight should be the weight of their backpacks. And right now, from what I'm understanding, there's not a lot of books that are being brought home. Everything is kind of technology based. And so just making sure that if they are playing sports, that, they're bringing in the bare minimum of things that they need so that they're not overloading their book bags. I've had, children who have complained of back pain, neck pain, headaches, and things of that nature. And it's all because they're carrying around these really, really heavy book bags. And then just making sure that hand hygiene, and I can't tell you, I'm sure it's still on the list, the hand sanitizers and all of the things. So making sure that they are prepared with sanitizer to sanitize their hands and making sure that they know how to wash their hands properly and when to wash their hands versus using sanitizer. It's so important to, one, make sure that they are staying healthy and that we are following illness protocols. So if they are sick, if they're running a fever and you're having to give them antipyretics or medication, Tylenol or Motrin or what have you, or home remedies or whatever it is that you choose to do for your children when they have fevers, that they're not going to school, and that when they're ready to go back to school, they should be at least 24 hours without a fever, without having to take medication, right? So just monitor them, making sure that we're not sending our kids to school sick. Make sure if they are sick, we're not bringing them out to, community functions and church and things of that nature, because as we know right now, the COVID levels are beginning to go back up. Somebody said to me the other day, COVID is back. COVID never left. It's been here, and we're just not hearing about it as much. But as the kids are back in school, as parents and everybody who was off during the summer, if you have the leisure or the opportunity to be off during the summer, people are back in school and kids are back in school. So kids are going to school and get exposed to all of these germs and bugs and bringing them back home. And so we're seeing an uptick in COVID. So just be mindful of that. What's the biggest struggle? I want to ask some of the parents, what's the biggest struggle that you have when it comes to the morning and bedtime routine or rush for your kids? Drop that information in the comments. It may be something that other parents are experiencing. And if you are experiencing that and you were experiencing that with your kids, and you conquered it, or you've mastered it, or you put something into place that has helped you eliminate those struggles, drop that in the comment section as well. Maybe some other parents may take that advice and implement it with their kids. I want to remind you that we do offer the back to school physicals and the wellness exams. We offer virtual visits. So if your kids are sick and you can't get them into the office, or it's late when you've gotten them home, we do offer early morning, evening, and weekend appointments. So just keep that in mind. The next thing I want to talk about is college, right? Those kids that are going back to college, so thriving in college beyond the classroom. I can remember going to Howard University with my youngest daughter and just watching her light up being on that campus. And it was something different that I saw and witnessed in her from other colleges that we went to that were PWIs or non-HBCUs. But when she was on the campus of Howard and interacting with those students, there was a light, a brightness that came on. And I told my husband, I think this is it. He was like, how do you know? I said, I feel it. I think this is it. And she definitely chose to go to Howard, and it was an amazing experience for her. But physical health beyond just being in the classroom. Yes, we prepare them for studying. We prepare them to make sure they have all their books, that their dorm rooms are, set and all of that stuff. But how are we preparing them for beyond the classroom? Meal planning on a budget, right? So usually college students, they're living on a ramen noodle budget, and they have to really be creative when it comes to their food. And I witnessed that with others, that my daughter knew in college who didn't have, the support from families to be able to provide them with funds and all this stuff. And they really had to be creative when it came to their food. So budgeting, meal planning on a budget, protein, veggies, and an affordable grain. So whatever that means. And they're on Howard, I think they have a Whole Foods right next to Howard University. And I can remember every day my daughter was at Howard at Whole Foods, and we had to have a conversation like, hey, listen, we're in the budget here. So, but she figured it out, and she began to cook her meals and things of that nature. And then hydration and exercising hacks. So walking the campus and using the student gym to help stay in shape and, stay involved in moving their body. And for those who are involved in sports, of course, they're doing conditioning and things of that nature. But outside of that, how much time are they spending stretching? How much time are they spending in recovery to allow their bodies to recover from the games and from the strenuous exercise routines that they have, and to make sure that they are the best of shape for their sport? Mental health and stress. So normalize anxiety, right? We all deal with anxiety. we just process it, and we all experience anxiety is what I want to say, but we all deal with it and process it differently. So helping them to develop therapeutic coping mechanisms when it comes to dealing with anxiety versus medicating, right? Self-medicating with marijuana and alcohol and things of that nature. So the deep breathing, getting them in therapy, journaling, exercising, stretching, meditating, what have you, things that are going to kind of help them deal with their anxiety, but not to shun it and make it seem like there's something wrong with them if they do experience it, because we're seeing higher numbers of anxiety than before. Time management is another thing, just making sure that they have a good study, sleep, and school balance, that they are getting into a routine and they're kind of sticking with it. And then utilizing campus resources, the counseling centers, the wellness apps, and different hotlines that are made available for them on campus to help them when it comes to their mental health and managing stress. And then financial and relational prepping for them. I can say, and I think I mentioned this maybe last week, when it came to my daughter, I don't think we did a very good job with preparing her financially for budgeting and things of that nature. So helping them to set a budget, spending, tracking their spending, meal prepping, and then avoiding the credit card traps. I can remember when I was in college at Valencia Community College here, right outside of the cafeteria and the bookstore, there would be all these vendors, these credit card vendors set up right there every day or so many times throughout the month, offering credit cards. And I signed up for my first credit card in college, and it was a mobile gas card. There was mobile gas store and gas station, and that was my first credit card, was a mobile gas card. What did I need a mobile gas card for? Yes, I had a car, but did I need a credit card to pay for gas? No. I was using that card for snacks and you name it. It was crazy. I was getting gas for everybody. Just no wisdom when it came to credit cards. And it was because I didn't have anyone to teach me about it. I didn't have the knowledge of how to wisely use credit cards. And so I misused it. I did not use it properly. And it, got me into some financial troubles early on. But so teaching them early, giving them the tips that they need. And my daughter, was funny, I'm not going to tell the story here, but we had a experience with a credit card. She went to a local store, and my response should have been a little differently, right? But it's neither here nor there, but just making sure that they are prepared for that. And setting healthy boundaries when it comes to relationships and being involved with others and, romantic relationships and things of that nature. And that's something that I think I know my husband and I talk with our kids about, the whole birds and the bees and all that, whatever you want to call it. We had those talks. And we talked about, knowing who's for you and things of that nature. So I feel like we prepared her when she went to college, but no preparation is enough for when they're actually, well, I won't say that. It's put to test when they're actually, out there in the real world. Then they really have to put those things into play to help them. And it's important that they know that they have a safe space to come and talk to their parents. And if they get into a situation that is too hard for them to deal with, that they have support and they know that they are supported. And that's the most important thing, because without that support, a lot of kids struggle. A lot of these young adults struggle. And I'm grateful that my daughter felt that she could call us and talk to us about different things. And sometimes I wasn't ready for the conversations, right? And it wasn't always relational, right? It was about different things that she was dealing with and different struggles that she was going through. But if I said that I am a safe space, then it was an open book, that no subject was off limits. And that's kind of how we raised our kids, that there's really nothing off limits. And whatever you want to talk about, we can talk about it. The other thing that I want to discuss is if you're a college student or a parent of one, what's the number one thing that you wish you had known before going to college? Or parents, If you have a college student that has gone to college, what's one thing that you wish that you would have deposited in them, or knowledge you would have given them, or resources that you would have provided for them? I want you to think about wellness drop-ins, right, with your kids. And if you need help navigating those conversations, you can definitely book a virtual visit with us, a virtual wellness visit with us, as long as they're in the state of Florida, and we can help them navigate some of the things that they are dealing with. I am a healthcare provider, but I'm also a wellness coach and a life coach. And so I do provide those services as well. But just making sure that our kids have what they need and that they have the support and the resources. Many times our kids won't come and talk to us about certain things, and that's okay. As long as they have a safe space and someone that they feel that they're safe with, that they can go and talk to, that's all that matters. I don't have to be the one that my kids came to when they were younger, even now. As long as they have a responsible person who they feel safe with, that they can discuss things with, I'm okay with that. Because at the end of the day, if they're struggling and they don't feel like they have someone that they can speak to, then that's when we begin to see depression and the anxiety rates increase and suicidal thoughts and all the things, right? And making bad decisions. When it comes to, I know we started this series in July, where we were talking about minority mental health and the back to school transition. And we're just going to kind of close out with that, because there's so much happening in society right now. And many individuals don't know where they fit in, or they don't feel safe in society because of their ethnic background, because of where they were born, because of who their parents are, because of the color of their skin, or because they are different. And so the unique pressures that our minority students face add additional stressors on top of the normal stressors that students have to face with going to school, going to college, moving away from home, and things of that nature. So their identity, having to deal with discrimination, and then the academic expectations that they may not necessarily be used to, or they're not welcome in spaces because of their minority, of them being a minority. And some of the warning signs that for parents and teachers that I want to just kind of highlight and make sure that we are aware of and that we keep in the forefront of our minds is social withdrawal. They begin to withdraw socially. They're not as outgoing and active as they usually are. They begin to display some irritability, and there's some sleep and appetite changes. We begin to notice that their grades are dropping, and then they're having talks of hopelessness. And for those who go away to college, I didn't know this, and there was a parent who kind of talked with me about it. Her husband was an attorney, and he said there's certain paperwork that you need to have in place when your kid goes away to college. Because if something were to happen, because they are 18, you have no right to access any of their medical records. You have no right to access any of their college records or anything like that. So if something were to happen, they were to come up missing, you don't even have right to go into the dorm and, things of that nature. So there's certain legal paperwork, healthcare surrogates and things of that nature that you need in place. And I can't think of the name of them right now, but I will post them on the page so that you are aware. And if you need that information, definitely reach out to me and I can send it to you personally, one-on-one. But just making sure that we have certain things in place, that if something were to happen, that we have all of the things ready to go and we can get to our child and, be able to act on their behalf. I can remember my daughter suffered 2 concussions, really bad concussions, when she was at Howard playing volleyball. And it was a struggle to, I had to advocate for her from here, because the things that should have been happening for her and the resources that should have been placed for her were either not there or were delayed. And it was a struggle to not get on a plane and go there. And there were some times where I did just show up, because I'm like, listen, we need to know what's going on. I need to know what the protocols are. I'm still waiting on protocols, by the way. Never got them. But anyway, I digress. I digress. But supporting them is the main. If they have the support, that's going to make a major difference in how they navigate the changes that they're going to experience and some of the challenges that they will experience. Making sure that they have support. So open family conversations about feelings, encouraging journaling and mindfulness and affirmation practices. I can remember going to my daughter's dorm and she had little post-its of different affirmations on her bed or right beside her bed. And it just did my heart well because those were words that she spoke to herself when she was struggling, when she was having a hard time, when days just didn't go the way that she wanted them to, or morning she woke up and was just tired and didn't want to do anything. Well, those affirmations and those prayers are what got her through the day. And so making sure that as parents and as teachers, and specifically teachers, that we promote inclusion and awareness of cultural needs. Our children tend to thrive in environments where there are individuals that look like them and can relate to them. And that was the difference that I saw in my daughter when she was on Howard's campus, because everywhere we looked around, there was someone that looked like her. Not everybody, right? And that's okay. But there were more people that looked like her than in other environments that she had experienced in volleyball world and in volleyball land. On the teams, when she played volleyball from elementary all the way up, she was either one or two brown girls on the team. And, it was difficult. And then to think about being in a university for 4 years and she was the only brown girl that was going to be on the team just kind of really bothered her. And so she made a choice based on what her needs were. And that was to be surrounded by people who looked like her, who understood her, and who got her because of her, who she is, right? And so just making sure that they are promoting inclusion, awareness, and that they understand cultural needs of the different students. Educators, I know I have some educators here. What's one way that you help your students feel included and safe? That's important, to make sure they feel included and that they feel safe. And I just want you to know that inclusion and them feeling safe is important, because without those, they're not going to open up. Without those, they're not going to thrive in environments that they should have every opportunity to thrive. So in closing, I just want to say our kids need, again, those regular checkups. College students need balance in their health, money, and in relationships. And then minority youth need supportive environments and watchful adults. If you'd like personalized support, whether it be a physical exam, a wellness check for your teen, or parent consultation, schedule with us at Wells Legacy Health and Wellness. Let's create a legacy of good health together for not just you, but for your children and for the rest of your family. I want to just say thank you all so much for joining us tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in and sharing this information. September, we have some amazing things to come. So just be on the lookout in social media land for all the things. I am Dr. Latoya Wells with Wells Legacy Health and Wellness. Just want to say thank you again for joining me tonight and for always showing up. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate you so much. Until next time, stay safe and be well. This is Dr. Latoya Wells with Wells Legacy Health and Wellness. Bye.